I know how it feels to want it and to book it. Right. And I want them to feel it too. And so I create a culture where we have fun. Because the more fun you have, the more you stay in class, the more you build your skills, and when your opportunity comes, there you go. You know, they say, oh, you got your lucky break. Now, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And when you got to prepare. And then when you get your opportunity, bam.
Lights on the set, the director's late. The cameraman sneezes, oh what a fate. The coffee spilled, the script's all wet. But darling, we ain't started shooting yet. Actors rehearsing with lines gone astray. Improvising words like it's Broadway's play. The boom mic drops in a hilarious dive. But somehow the scene comes out alive. Oh, lights on the set, the director.
Hello and welcome back to the Anecdotes podcast. I'm your host, Bob Krieger. Today we have in the studio a special guest, Mr. Jim Gleason, an actor, a director, the owner, operator of the Working Actors Studio, and overall good guy. I want to hear a little bit more about his SAG-AFTRA shirt too.
Oh yeah.
The current
and I'm up for re-election, and I don't think anyone's qualified against me, so I think I'm going to walk in. So that'd be cool.
Awesome. Well, I like that. Yeah, the current and hopefully future president of the local SAG-AFTRA chapter. That's right. Awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on this lovely podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, how you started in the acting biz.
Sure. Well, born in New Orleans, moved to Mandeville at about the age of 9.
Okay.
So over at Mandeville Elementary in the 4th grade, and I got the lead in the classroom play. Like we didn't do it in the auditorium, we just did it in the room, and that was it. It was just a blast, and I knew from that's what I loved. So I did plays growing up in high school and junior high, and then high school, and then when I was a senior, I started doing plays at Playmakers over in Covington and community theater. So I did community theater and school plays, and then when I went to college, I went to Tulane, and I got a degree in theater there, and finished my degree in 4 years. Got out, knocked around in New Orleans for about 10 years working I started off doing plays, and then I don't know if you've been around for a while, Bob.
I'm afraid so, yeah.
Like I. But there was an actor his name was Elliot Keener, and Elliot.
Yes.
Yeah, great actor.
Remember Elliot.
Great guy. And he directed me in a production of Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, awesome.
I was over here in Covington, actually in downtown Covington at the old Star Theater when it was a theater for a while. And so I asked him, I said, hey, you're Elliot, you're in every movie that comes to town. What do I do? So he was able to connect me with my first agent, and I started auditioning for stuff. That was Claudia Spiker with New Orleans Model and Talent.
All right.
So neither of them are with us anymore. And
okay.
Yeah.
I know Elliot, but I didn't know about Claudia.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it was a while back. So anyway, so then I was able to book my first. I always wanted to be a pro. That's all I wanted. You know, that was all I wanted to do. And I booked my first union job, made me eligible to join, and as soon as I was able to save the money up to do it, I did. It wasn't that much, but when you're young, $1,000 is a lot.
Well, shoot, yeah.
You know,
well, actually, right now, if somebody gives me $1,000, I'll take it.
That's right.
What was that first role?
It was a day player role in a movie called Double Crossed, which was a biopic about Barry Seal, who was running drugs for the Colombians.
Yeah.
And the lead was Dennis Hopper. So my first ever movie, I did a scene with Dennis Hopper.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was pretty cool. He never won an Oscar, but he was kind of Hollywood royalty, you know.
Oh yeah.
He was in a ton of. He was in Rebel Without a Cause. He was in a ton of stuff coming up when he was young.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very pleasant, very polite. He was aloof. He was quiet, which is surprising because he has a reputation for being a madman. But he was really cool. So I joined the union, and I kind of reached my ceiling here in the New Orleans area, where there wasn't much more for me to accomplish, and there really wasn't the film and television industry. Like now, people are like, "Yeah, New Orleans, it's a hub of filmmaking." At least it was, in the early, in 2012 when I moved home. I'm getting ahead of myself. But when I came back home from Los Angeles, this was the place, and everyone thinks, "Oh, New Orleans, yeah, Hollywood South, blah blah." It wasn't like that back then. So I realized I need to get training that I couldn't get here, and I needed opportunity that I couldn't get here. So in '97, I moved out to Los Angeles, and I spent about 14 years there, working in film and television, working survival jobs,
Yeah.
and I started studying at an audition studio there, school.
Oh, okay.
And after about a year, the woman asked me, "Do you want to be an instructor here?" And I said yes. So I started teaching there, and I taught there for about 6.5 years. And then I left, and I stayed in LA, and I did my own thing for about 3.5. Taught my own classes and worked in film and television pretty steadily, mostly TV. And then in 2010, I came home for Christmas, and I went to an informal. If you went to Mandeville High in the '80s, come out to the pub night.
Yeah.
And there was a young lady there, and now we're married. So
There you go.
I have a handicapped daughter that lives here, and I was coming home a lot from Los Angeles to see her anyway. And the film and television industry was booming, and I was like, why am I staying in LA? I can go home, be around people I love. I can afford to buy a house. And when I met my wife, I was like, okay, now I have no reason to stay in LA.
No reason to stay in LA.
So I came out here, started teaching almost immediately, and been rolling ever since. And the name of my studio is the Working Actors Studio with Jim Gleason. And I've been teaching and training actors for over 20 years, both in Los Angeles and now here. And when I moved home, I had about 45 credits on IMDb, and in 7 years I doubled that. I got it to 90 in just 7 years working here.
Wow.
Atlanta, Nashville, Memphis, here. I even went to Buenos Aires once and worked on a movie, which was pretty cool. So, and now I've been here ever since.
Wow. That's, I look at that, I try to think about me being on camera. Now I'm on camera. But I'm not necessarily a fan of being in front of the camera. I've always been behind the camera. And I've had the same ideas of went to Loyola for filmmaking, and thought, great, I'm going to go to Hollywood and become a filmmaker. But then I got married, and I said, no, I need a roof. I need steady paycheck.
Sure.
And so I did exactly what every other filmmaker did, and I joined the military. So I was with a film degree, which is really not helpful at all.
Right.
But it's one of those things. My passion has always been, it won't go away. I've always liked editing. I've always liked the behind the scenes thing. I did try my hand at acting in college. I was an extra background in Cat People.
Oh yeah.
It was here a long time ago,
Yeah.
and JFK.
Yeah.
When they shot that.
Yep.
And all I remember was, okay, it was fun. It was a day. It was a paycheck, one small paycheck.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want to do this. I kept looking over at the cameras and at the cranes and everything else that was there. It's like, ooh, how are they doing this? Let's watch this and see how it's going. And I could care less about the talent. It was because I wanted to be behind the scenes. But it's one of those things. Your passion, I think, is in acting, and that shows. I've seen your credits, and all the different things that are there, and that's one of those things I think most people want to hear is that yes, paycheck's great, it's a wonderful thing, but you have to follow your heart, you have to follow your passion, and this is it. So I appreciate that. So where is the Working Actor Studio
Right now? It's kind of split between two locations. During the week, I'm at actually a church over in Kenner. They aren't there during the week.
Okay.
And the pastor and his wife both studied with me for a while, and
Convenient.
so right
I like that.
And so I was in Metairie and I needed to move, so I contacted them and they were like, "Sure, come on." And then recently I partnered with one of my students is the executive director of a foundation called the Giving Hope Foundation. It's a Christian-based outreach program, and they have a community center over in the Upper Ninth Ward. And so on the weekends, I have weekend classes, and I have during the week. And the weekend classes I do at Giving Hope, but obviously on the weekends the church isn't available because they're rehearsing on Saturday and they're doing their services on Sunday. So I'm split my time between the Upper Ninth and between Kenner.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Now, you live over on the North Shore, though.
Yes.
So you do the commute thing.
Mandeville kid. Go Skippers. Woot, woot.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier to me before we got started that some of my previous guests on here, the actors and
Yeah.
writers of Donut Holes,
Yeah.
studied under you for a while.
Yeah. Jacob West has been my student for a while. And he's really grown. He's a talented kid, and he does really well. And I have, he reminds me, his enthusiasm, I'm going to sound egotistical, but it reminds me of me when I was younger.
Oh.
It was all I wanted, and he's got that same feeling, and he does really well in class, and he listens, and he takes instruction, and he really progresses. He's a really talented kid. So he's been my student for a while, and he was involved in the movie Donut Holes, and Giving Hope was sponsoring a teen Saturday workshop. And those guys in Donut Holes are in their late teens.
Yeah.
We stretched the age a little bit for a couple of them, but I had I think 4 of them. Kyler Hefner came, and Gracie
Rodriguez.
and then Malia Ibieta. I don't know if you.
I haven't had her yet. I'm planning on it.
Yeah, Malia Ibieta, and there was a 4th. Oh yeah, Kendall Dressens.
Yes.
So they all came and took classes with me, and so they might be coming this Saturday to do a class with me as well.
Oh, awesome.
So
Awesome. I like.
so those are good. They're good kids. They're talented kids. They're really talented, and they did a great job in class, and I was happy for them.
Well, let me ask you about the classes. Don't give away any trade secrets. That's not what I'm looking for. But what would potential actors? Why would they want to come take a class when it seems like if I can memorize my lines, I can just go and do it in front of the camera?
That's so funny. Please forgive me, but that's a real misconception about what acting is. It's not just memorizing your lines. It's a lot. It's so much more than that. But I've got a lot of people that study with me.
Okay.
Some are like me and Jacob that are like, we go to sleep thinking about it, we wake up thinking about it, and that's all we want. Some are people that, they'll be talking to their friend and they're making a movie over there. I want to be in movies, and they want to try it out.
I want to try it.
So they no experience, they just want to try it out. Some people have a lot of stage experience, but they're having trouble acting for the camera, and they come to me for that. And then some people they've got credits, but they're not booking as often as they want. And so there's lots. I've got veterans, I've got newbies, I've got never-dones, I've got all kinds of people that have studied with me for various reasons. And what we do is we basically give them a foundation. There's a one-day class called The Works. That's the one that the Donut Holes kids took.
Okay.
And it's an all-day class just about information. And if people like that class and they want to continue and build skills, we have what I call the application classes, where you apply everything that you learned on a regular basis to build skills.
Okay.
And those are the classes that Jacob has been in for a while. And I sense, for those of you watching that haven't heard this term, there's a term called SIDES, S-I-D-E-S. And those are 4 pages, 3 pages, 5 pages of a script that you get when you have the opportunity to audition for a show. So I'll collect sides and I'll send them out to the class, and they do their preparation. They come in, and we replicate the audition situation. So I'm there with the mini cam, and I'm sitting behind the or standing behind the mini cam, whatever the situation, and I'm reading opposite them, and sometimes they read opposite each other, and we record it, and then we watch it back, and I point out, okay, this is working, this is what you should be looking for in this role, and this isn't happening, and this is happening, and the culture of the studio, I'm real passionate about it. There's some acting teachers that, for whatever reason, have decided their job is to emotionally tear people down.
Yeah.
And then build them back up, which I think is a bunch of hogwash. So I really create a culture where I want them to feel safe to come in and try stuff. Try new things and find out if it works or it doesn't. Most people are afraid to try things because they're afraid they're going to fail. And I'm like, so if you fail in class, so what? Who cares? There's no repercussions. All you do is you learn, okay, I tried that. It didn't work.
Just try the next thing and hopefully it will.
Maybe you've never worked with a socket set. When you got to take a nut off and you got a socket set, you probably go through 4 or 5 sockets before you find the right
right
You
one.
don't go, I don't want to try this socket because it might not work. Oh, it didn't work. Oh no. You know what I mean? You don't have that reaction. You just
Yeah.
go, oh, that didn't work. One quarter socket didn't work. Maybe try 5/8. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
It's just keep trying the stuff until you find what works.
That I like that.
You know?
I do the same thing at during my day job. I work at a school. I'm the tech director at a school, so I handle the computers and technology and all.
What
this.
school?
Christ Episcopal.
Okay, yeah.
In Covington, right?
Yeah.
Behind the Target, I like to say. But we have some new teachers starting, and they're here already this summer, and they go into the classroom, and they have no idea about how to use the boards and the touch panels and how all this works. And I tell them, well, the best way to learn is to push a button and see what happens.
Right.
And they're worried. Well, what if I break it? I'm like, well, if you break it, you have to show me how, because I haven't been able to break it yet myself, and I get somebody to fix it. It's not a big deal.
Right.
It's the only way to learn is like, what does this button do? Press it.
Yeah.
The only time I never did that was like in combat information center on my ship. When we were doing war games, don't press the red button.
Right.
What was that noise?
There's
Oh,
a
it was
reason it's
missile.
red. There's
That's
a
right.
reason the
Don't press
button's
that
red.
button. But it's like, for the most part, try it. I like that. I mean, that's great advice.
And I don't tell people that was right or that was wrong or that was good or that was bad. I just say, okay, you see what you did. You like it? If you do, great. If you didn't like what you see, let's see what we could do differently. Simple.
Now, it seems to me that when you're looking at its sides, you don't have like the 4 or 5 pages.
Right.
You don't really have a gist of the scene, but you don't really have a gist of the whole character as it's written for the entire in the entire script.
Yep.
So that right there is a skill to try to see what kind of emotion can I pull out of this scene from just these few pages.
Yeah. And you can look. You have 2 ways you can look at it. When you get 5 pages, or sometimes it's just 3. You get 3 pages. You read everything on the page, every single thing on the page. Most actors go straight to their lines. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Read everything. Sometimes you get sides and there's a big X on the top of the page and it says start. Read the stuff under the X because there might be stuff in there that you can use. And once you read everything, and you might say, I don't have the benefit of the full script, so you can have one of 2 reactions. Either, oh no, that's a problem, or sweet, I'm not limited. Right? And that's the sort of perspective I encourage my actors to take is be creative.
Yeah.
Make up whatever you want. Check it against the script. If you make up something and the script says, oh, no, you can't do that. Like if you think, oh, yeah, I was an only child. And then you read and say, oh, yeah, I remember my brother Bill. Well, then you can't say that. You got to go back and rework it again. But if you say, I'm an only child, you read it, there's nothing to say that.
Say otherwise.
Hey, go
then
for
you're
it.
Good. Yeah. Look at it as not a problem, but a challenge.
That's it.
And that's it. It's like,
It's not even it's not even a challenge. It's an opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sweet. I get to make up whatever I want. Sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is kind of, I'm going to have to take some acting classes myself. I've decided, even though I will never be in front of the camera, because that's not really what I want.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that as a filmmaker, it would help me direct
Oh, yeah.
so much better.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know the script. I know what I'm directing. I know what I'm trying to shoot, and I am concerned technically with the angles and whatever we're going to get. But the talent themselves. It's like, how can I want to guide them to help them understand my vision and understand what was written, and then let them go for it.
Yeah. I've had multiple directors take my class to the works, the information class I talked about, because they want to be able to communicate with actors from their perspective. And I've been blessed in that I've got like about 112 credits on IMDb, and that doesn't include commercials and stuff. But I've worked with many directors who are also actors. Peter Horton, Richard Schiff from The West Wing, Tate Donovan. And those are some of the best directing experiences I've had, is because they're actors and they get the way actors think, and they can communicate with actors from that perspective. And some of the best directors I've worked with were actors first and then went on to direct.
Well, I have talked with friends. We've watched movies and they've seen that the the star is the director, and like, how can they do that? That's not good. It's just all big. It's just a big look at me kind of thing. I said, no, not necessarily. Just because of that, they know
Yeah.
what they want, and they know how to pull that out of their other talent.
Yeah.
How their coworkers, the other actors, and it really is a thing. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't realize is that with we start off with filmmaking, the idea that it's written 3 times, one by the writer, the second by the director, and the third by the editor.
Yeah.
And, and that's the final rewrite.
Yeah.
But it's not a solo thing.
No.
And everyone has input. And, I may write a character a certain way, but then when I give it to my actor and he or she performs it not the way I envisioned it, one, I have to be open to that to
Right.
see, and then realize, wait a minute, that works.
Yeah.
That's better than what I had.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to put your ego aside and say, this is great, keep it up.
Or you can
try
say,
it this way.
I get that. It's not the vision that I have for it, so let's work together.
That's
one of the things I'm
yeah.
very adamant with my actors about is, hey guys, actors constantly give away their power. They subjugate themselves because they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They don't want to do the wrong thing. They're desperate to get a job. They don't want to say the wrong thing. You have to see that you are a valuable, creative contributor to whatever they're doing. And you go in there, and Gene Hackman, who just recently passed away, said, I love the first audition. It's the only time where I get to be the boss. And take that perspective. So you go in there and you treat it like you're the director, the writer, the producer, and the star. And you go in and do it. And then the director says, or the casting director, if it's an audition, says, let's do it, but this way. And then the relationship is not, you're the boss and I work for you. The relationship is, hey, we're co-collaborators here. We're going to work together as a team and make something really cool.
Mm-hmm. I totally get it. Yeah. I've worked on a few films, those short independent films around here, where the director, though, is the stereotypical Hollywood director, sitting back in his chair and, just like
holding court.
And it's like, no, that's not the way it works. I like people who work together.
Yeah.
I do participate in a lot of the 48 or competition type.
That's coming up, huh?
Because that's coming up in July.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, I just enjoy it because it's always a challenge. It's
Yeah.
always like an opportunity. What can I do?
In 48 hours.
In 48 hours. And sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it doesn't. And it's like, it's fun. It's just fun. Yeah. But what I like about it is just that, is the collaborative feel, because you have a crew that you've cobbled together, for this one weekend. And, I'm going to be the director. I'm the editor. I'm going to be acting. I'm doing this. But nobody stays in their role. Everybody helps out everybody else because they have this.
Because some people fall asleep and you have to pick up their slack.
Well, that's true. And some people have a couple of too many cocktails on set when they shouldn't do that at all.
Oops. That's
a whole totally different story. But it's like I love the collaborative action that happens there, and that just makes me so happy when I'm out there, and we usually have someone else is directing. Doing other things as well behind them, but then I'll step in when he or she can't direct and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and direct this scene and go do it. They can get the credit. That's not what I'm worried about. It's like, it's about, can we get the shot the way we want it? Can we get the action the way, we envision it? Because we need to, every second counts when you're talking about a short film in 2 days, So that's one of those things that I really do appreciate, is that collaborative action. And when an actor comes in and is either, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille, or sits back and is the shy retiring flower, then it's like, no, we need to have somewhere in between, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so you have these 2 classes. This is great.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Can you tell me a little bit, like maybe something really fun that may have happened during one of the classes? I mean, I could see, like it's all training, it's all good.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some.
Well, I think people learn best when they have fun. So I don't have a particular story.
All right.
But what I cultivate there is a culture where we laugh a lot.
Good.
because I think that when people laugh, they learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it keeps people interested. It keeps them engaged. And I'll tell you, I've got some people that I call my lifers. They've been in class with me for literally years. And they're the ones that really come in every week, and their work is super solid. And so I'm trying to create an environment where people want to come back. Because as corny as this sounds, I get as excited when people tell me they book something as just knowing they're in class. Like, it's a business, it's not my business, right? And I
Right,
teach,
yeah.
and I love watching them progress. But I get so excited when somebody tells me, "Guess what?" You know, I'll put somebody on tape. I record auditions for people too, and so I'll coach them and I'll put them on tape and I'll edit it and I'll send it off for them. When somebody says, "That thing we worked on, I booked it," I'm like, "Yes," because I know how that feels. You know, I know how it feels to want it and to book it.
Right.
And I want them to feel it too. And so I create a culture where we have fun. Because the more fun you have, the more you stay in class, the more you build your skills, and when your opportunity comes, there you go. You know, they say, "Oh, you got your lucky break." Now, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And when you got to prepare. And then when you get your opportunity, bam, there it goes.
There you go.
And so we just have a lot of fun. There is one other class, and I'm actually doing it this Saturday.
Okay.
I'm trying to do it once a month. It's called the circle exercise. I was in Los Angeles, and I had just started studying. I really had just started studying where I would end up teaching. And the woman who ran the studio said, "You should take this class." It's conducted by a guy named Corey Allen. Now, Corey Allen was an actor in the 50s. And if you've ever seen Rebel Without a Cause, he plays Buzz. He's James Dean's chief rival.
Okay.
They have the knife fight up at the Griffith Observatory, and you know they steal the cars and they play chicken, and
Right.
Buzz goes over the cliff. Spoiler alert! If it's a 60-year-old movie, you can't say
No,
spoiler.
you can't say spoiler alert. I just saw it the other day, actually. So,
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
again.
Oh, actually, it's a 70-year-old movie now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't. Yeah, Jaws is 50. I mean, even then,
Jaws
it's
is
like, oh my
50.
gosh. Okay.
So anyway, so I took this class with Corey, and it blew my mind, and I needed it. You know, coming from a fairly conservative suburban upbringing like Mandeville, I needed something to shake off the rust, and so I could tap into my emotional core, and this class was great for that. And there are a lot of other benefits to it. So I took it, and I do my own sort of version of it. And so there's four main benefits. The first is, as an actor, you need to be able to accept your circumstances of the story as your actual life. So what I call acceptance of circumstance. The circle exercise really does that.
Okay.
The next is, it's really important that when you're acting, you're really 100% present. Because most actors, honestly, have one foot in the now and one foot in the future. I know I'm saying my line now, but I'm gearing up for my next line.
The next line.
But
yeah,
you can't do that.
A problem, yeah.
Because the camera's going to pick that up.
Right.
Because what the camera does is it records what you're thinking and feeling. And if you're thinking about that, that's what it's going to
what it
pick up.
shows,
Because
yeah.
we're wired to
You're
our
wired.
thoughts, you know. So it's important that you're 100% present. The circle exercise kind of doesn't give you an option except to be 100% present. Another benefit is actors want to make, like we talked about for a moment ago, actors want to make it about their lines, their words, right?
Right.
But film and television acting is not about the words. It's really about what you're thinking and feeling, and the words lend themselves to that, right? So in the circle exercise, the words have no bearing on what you're saying. So it really helps you to be in touch with, these words aren't what's important. What I have in here is important. What I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, that's what's really important. And then the final is the first one I mentioned, really, which is as actors, as people, we do a very healthy thing, which is we manage our emotions, right? Especially men.
Sometimes.
Yeah, right. But you know, we manage our emotions.
Yeah.
If we fully expressed everything we're thinking and feeling all the time, it'd be exhausting. And you may know some people in your life that fully express everything. They're always,
Oh, yeah.
and they're exhausting to be around. So it's a very healthy thing to be able to sort of manage your emotions, right? But as actors, so we build walls. As actors, we got to be vulnerable. And so the circle exercise helps you to break down some of those walls. Not all of them, but some of them. So that you can really be emotionally available when it's necessary.
Okay. So what exactly, how does the circle exercise work? Because I had no idea.
Exactly. And that's what makes it hard. It's a hard sell because I don't tell people what it is.
Okay. All right.
It's a leap of faith class. The tagline that I came up with for it was, it's not on camera, but it's what on-camera acting is really all about. Because one of the best benefits that you can get is to not be ready for it.
Oh, wow.
Because it forces you to deal. And that dealing is honest. There's an axiom that I heard attributed to Sanford Meisner. Acting is behaving honestly under imaginary circumstances. And
I like that.
yeah,
I do.
it's very cool. And so the circle exercise, if I tell people, okay, here's what to expect, they'll come in thinking about what they're going to do.
Right.
And I want them doing that. Because let me say something about acting, okay? We are raised in an achievement-based society. From the time we say mama and dada and we learn to be loved because we say things and do things that our parents, we take our first steps and we get praise, right? And then we're in preschool and Bobby, you did really well. You colored inside the lines. You get a gold star. Now you have 3 gold stars, but Jimmy has 4, so you're going to want to work harder. Okay, yeah. And we get on that treadmill, right? And we go through school and we're on the same treadmill all the way up through high school and going to college, same thing. And then actors take that same achievement mentality and they apply it to acting, and it's really the death of acting. Because the actual boots on the ground, now you and I are in a scene and I'm talking to you, that's not an achievement-based activity. That's an experience-based activity. Something's going to happen. I've done my prep. I know who I am. I know who you are.
Right.
I know what I want from you, so let's try to get it. And then you go where the scene goes. Now, generally, there's a path, right?
Yeah. You have an idea on the script of where it's going.
But when you get into it, you don't know. You don't know if the other person... Like, I'll tell you a story real quickly.
All right.
I was working on... I may be going up to Jackson at the end of July to do a weekend workshop. But I was in Jackson working on a movie.
Okay.
In this movie, my wife and I have a college-age son who's a football player.
All right.
He, in the course of a football game, breaks the neck inadvertently of one of the opposing players. So our son's distraught and he disappeared. We don't know where he is. So we're in the kitchen and she's doing the dishes and she's distraught about where our son is. And she's, talking to me and I'm standing behind her. And it's not in the script, but I'm in it. And I thought, I had this impulse to go over to my wife and comfort her. So I just walked gently over to her and I just laid my hand on her back. Boom, she starts crying. And she turns around and there's an embrace and I tell her it's going to be okay, which was not in the script. And you could hear a pin drop.
Nice.
And they stopped the camera and the crew, you could hear the crew, you know what I mean? And so if I'm thinking about what I'm supposed to do, that doesn't happen.
No, exactly. I can say, okay, you're supposed to walk over and comfort it, so they're there,
Right?
And which is
When do I
not
walk up?
real. It
I
doesn't
just had an
feel
impulse
honest.
and I followed
Right.
it. And like you were saying earlier, the beauty of acting in recorded acting is if it doesn't work, back to 1, let's shoot it again. When you're on stage, you just gotta. No, that lamp didn't fall over or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the point is, the circle exercise gets you out of that achievement mentality and into the, I don't know where this is going to go. Let's find out.
Let's find out. Okay.
And it's exciting.
I like that.
And one of the things I love about the circle exercise, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I love this. It requires people to be really vulnerable. And when you got a room full of like 12 to 16 strangers, a lot of them don't know each other.
Right.
And when they open up and they're vulnerable, everyone, and I've never had it go against me once, everyone is supportive of each other. Everybody is warm and supportive of each other. It's just a beautiful thing.
I think that's actually something that I think is a truth about people in general, is that in general, people are going to be supportive of each other. They're not going to pick on you or bully you for whatever. it happens in the movies, but I don't, and it does happen in real life, but I don't think
It's the anomaly.
It's the anomaly. So, that's something that I think your students can take away as well. Is like, don't worry about it, because trust me, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that actually helps. Yeah. Because then if you don't have that worry, you open up.
Yeah.
And you let the true, honest emotion come out, and and then you're present in that moment. You're gonna have. It doesn't matter what you're saying or what you're doing. It's going to feel real, and that's always been my thing. Does it feel real?
Yeah.
Is it real to me? And
That's it.
It is.
That's it.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So you,
Circle exercise. Come take it.
I had to check the cameras. Yeah, circle exercise. All right. And I won't know what it is until I take the class.
That's it.
And so when I'll be contacting you, and
Okay.
and I'll show up and
Yeah.
give you a few dollars and then take the class. It'll be
Some
good.
friends, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's go back to not the teaching, but your acting. You've been in a number of feature films. I've seen you. I was like, I know him. It's like when we're watching something.
Yeah.
I actually just rewatched The Butler.
Yeah.
About a month ago, and it was like, wait a minute, I know him. There he is in that.
Yeah.
What would you say was like your most favorite role that you've done, and then on the opposite side, the not so favorite role?
Well, it's hard to say favorite, but I will say some standouts for different reasons.
Okay, that's fine. Fair.
I had a recurring role on a television series for Disney Plus called Secrets of Sulphur Springs. And it was set in two time periods, 1990 and 2020. So 30 years apart. So in 1990, I was the dad. In 2020, I was the grandpa.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool.
That's nice.
And there was a time travel element to the show, and it was really cool. COVID kind of killed that show, and the kids were growing up. It's a kids show where the kids are the focus of the show.
Right.
But that was an experience where I was part of the main cast
Oh, good.
for multiple episodes. Love that. That's a big goal of mine.
'Cause you can really expand a character when you have more
Right.
time.
You
a lot
learn.
more.
You learn who you are. You grow. I would say, as far as meeting the most celebrities and spending extra time on the set, was The Butler, Lee Daniels, The Butler. I had 6 weeks on that movie,
Okay.
but it's funny. I only had 1 day a week for 6 weeks,
Oh, wow.
which is cool. So I got paid for the week because I was on hold, which is cool.
That's okay.
But spent a lot of time with an actor named Coleman Domingo. Who now Coleman was recently nominated for an Oscar, and African American actor, and he's just blowing up. And he couldn't have been a nicer guy. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. I'll kick myself forever. Lee had a screening of a movie that he did called The Paperboy, and he had it at the Tanya Theater. And Alan Rickman was in the cast of The Butler.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's standing in line waiting to get popcorn, and I didn't go say hello.
Oh, gosh.
And everything I've read or heard is like, oh, he couldn't have been a more kind and accommodating person. It's like, why didn't I look to that?
I think I've heard that from a lot of people about Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
And a number of actors, they will, they're busy. They don't really have time to stop and talk with everybody.
Right.
But they'll at least smile and wave and acknowledge your existence before they move on. And that's all you can ask. I don't personally have I gotta go look. That's somebody famous. Let me go shake his hand. I don't need to do that.
I do that.
Unless it's
That's-
organic.
I'm that guy.
I'm not that guy. It's like there one time I'm going to tell you a quick story of another actor. He was on the cast. He was in Cat People when I was there. We were the background. We're not on set yet. We were told to stay in this one area, this roped off area.
Yeah.
We're all in costume and just waiting for our time to be placed somewhere. as a prop. And
Yeah, right.
the main,
Malcolm McDowell?
not Malcolm McDowell, not William Hurt,
No, John Hurt.
John Hurt.
Yep.
John Hurt was sitting in his chair about 20 feet in front of us. And we were told to stay back here. So they said, okay, don't look in his direction. Okay, fine, we're not done. And if you talk, just keep it to a whisper. And so we were keeping it to a whisper. Every now and then somebody got this shh.
Yeah.
We controlled ourselves because it's like, all right.
Sure.
And he kept turning around looking at us like, what are you doing there? So he calls the AD over and he says, they're too loud. And he's like, okay, you guys can't even talk anymore. You got to be quiet. So, okay. All right. So we didn't do anything. All right,
Yeah.
we're quiet, waiting to see. And then about 10 minutes later, he goes, they're too close. Have them move away. It's like nobody's even concerned about him. He was sipping a cup of coffee. He wasn't even looking at his lines or anything like that. He was just, I'm here, whatever. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I'm the big cheese on set.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you're kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
Another of the actors, oh gosh, I can't think of his name. Big, tall string bin guy.
Ed Begley.
Ed Begley Jr. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Nicest guy in the world. And, he came over and he talked with us and just to say hi, hey, welcome, how's it going, tell me where some good places to go in New Orleans. Oh, yeah. So but it was great. It was like, that was very cool.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that.
Right.
But it was that I acknowledge that you exist. And the other guy was like, I acknowledge that you don't exist anywhere in my universe.
Yeah.
I'd rather see an actor acknowledge the people who are actually paying the bills,
Right?
Because they're, the audience is who you're acting for,
Yeah.
and the audience in the long run is actually paying you to do that, to entertain them.
Yeah.
So don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. Don't get full of yourself because I was in a major motion picture.
Right.
I see myself in 2 major motion pictures, for 2 seconds in this and 2 seconds in that one. But still, it's like,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? It's, but don't be too full of yourself. At least,
You know who?
I think.
You said you worked on JFK. I did too.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's funny. I auditioned for this role. I don't know if you remember the Rink. The Rink was a place on Britannia Street.
Yeah.
It's still there, but it's not called the Rink anymore.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I went down there and I had this crazy conspiracy theorist monologue that was the audition piece, and I'm sitting across the table like this from Oliver Stone, and I do this audition, and he's like, "Oh, cool," and I get a call. They want to use you in a scene, but they want you to do background the week working up to the scene. You're going to shoot on a Friday, but they want you to do background during the week because they had these giant crowd scenes.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah.
JFK. So I was doing background, and my dad was a trial attorney, and trial attorneys are frustrated actors. Like if you go see a play in Playmakers, there's a lawyer on the stage.
There's a lawyer on stage.
He's playing a role. So my dad was like, I said, let's go, Dad. Yeah. So we went down. He did background for a day. I was there for the week. He did it for a day. Now he's a lawyer, so he was sat around a lot.
Yeah.
You can do background, you sit around. And he was like, this was fun. I'll never do this again. So anyway, there's this great big scene where Kevin Costner comes through and he gets some news and he's all distraught. He's got the newspaper in his hand. And with all these extras, cut, let's reset. He sat amidst the extras and told them stories about how he got his SAG card. And
Wow.
couldn't have been a more kind and accommodating and pleasant person. So you see stuff like that, you're like, that's all right. My experience with Oliver Stone, not so good.
No, I was in the scene on Canal Street where Lee Harvey was handing out the flyers for Free Cuba or whatever it was.
Gary
Oldman. And, I grabbed the flyer from him and walk on. And we had to do it a couple of times. He bumped into me once. Oh, I'm sorry. He was like, oh, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. It's like we cut and it was fine. Yeah. But no, great guy, and it was wonderful. But August, New Orleans, downtown.
Right.
And then the techno crane sitting out in the middle of Canal Street, and there on top of it is Oliver Stone in long black pants, long black sleeve shirt, and a black cowboy hat. And I'm thinking, okay, you look really cool, but I'm sure you don't feel very cool up
At
there.
all.
And it's like, okay, no, just don't do that. You know, you may be surveying the scene, but you could have take an umbrella, wear a white shirt, do something.
You run into all kinds. Most are cool. The bigger the star, the cooler they are. Robert Duvall couldn't have been nicer.
Oh, nice.
New stars, not cool. Not cool.
They haven't. Yeah.
I equate them with sophomores in high school. And in this
good
way,
one, yeah.
In this way, a freshman knows, I'm a freshman.
Right.
A sophomore thinks, I'm better. No, you're still as dopey as a freshman. So the new name that's just come up usually thinks they've arrived and everyone, and then when you're Robert Duvall, you're like, hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're Kevin Costner, you're like, let me tell you a story.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Which is really nice.
I mean, there's so many great talents out there, and so many people who are who know who they are and have no problem, being a real person in real life, which is just fantastic.
Malcolm McDowell. I met Malcolm McDowell in an airport in New Orleans. I was at the airport, and he was waiting to pick up his bags. And I'm the dork, right? So I walk over. Mr. McDowell, hello, my name is Jim. I'm just nice to meet you. I just want to say I'm a big fan, and everything that you're in becomes a better project because you're in it. Oh, thank you very much. Just kind, English gentleman,
Right.
And so we have a very brief conversation. I'm in Los Angeles. I book a show called Franklin and Bash. He's a series regular, and I've got a scene with him. So we did his coverage. He wasn't feeling well. We did his coverage. He had a cold. And they break, and they're going to turn it around so they get my coverage, right? And so I took that opportunity to find him and say, listen, I just want to tell you, I met you 12 years ago. You're not going to remember this. I remember I met you 12 years ago, and you were so kind. Oh, thanks very much. And a topic came up, boom. He opened right up. Couldn't have been nicer. And he told me stories about how his father owned a pub in Liverpool, and he went to go see the Silver Beatles.
Oh, wow.
Before they dropped the silver. And when Pete Best was still the drummer.
Yeah.
And then he was my best friend. So we go back for my coverage, and he's got his tea that he's drinking. And then we'd do a take, and he'd be like, that's really good. He was my cheerleader, you know? And then I work on a movie here in New Orleans, and he's in the cast, and I saw him again. And I reintroduced myself, and he had no idea who I was. But that's okay.
That's okay.
And he was just as kind as ever.
I mean, I love him. I love the things he's been in.
Yeah.
Although my favorite is actually Time After Time.
Oh yeah,
that's
a great movie.
It's a great movie.
David Warner is brilliant in that as the villain.
Oh yeah,
he's great.
I mean, Mr. He's Jack the Ripper. He's spoiler, but it's like these are old movies. You got to watch them, people.
Malcolm and Mary Steenburgen met on that movie, and they were married for a while.
Really?
Yeah. And then she went on to marry Ted Danson after that.
Yeah. I know that one. Yeah. It's like, I didn't know about him. And
Malcolm lives in Ojai, California, and one of his best friends who lives in Ojai there is Eric Burden, the lead singer for the Animals.
Oh wow.
House of the Rising Sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
So they're pals.
There's our New Orleans connection as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at the time, and looking at my stuff, and it's it's about 10 minutes to 7. Okay. We're doing great. We're doing fine. Cool. But I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much.
Well, let me just talk about one more.
Go ahead. Never mind that.
Yeah, we touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
In 21, my friend Diana Boston called me up and said, "I want you to run for SAG-AFTRA president."
Okay.
And so I said, "Sure." And so I ran, and I'm finishing right now my second term. And what we're trying to do is there are a lot of actors in this city, and we cover actually Louisiana and Mississippi, so there's a lot of actors in both states who are eligible to join but don't. And the reason they don't is they want to be free to do non-union work and union work, because this is a political issue. It's a right to work. Louisiana is a right to work for less state. It's not right to work. The term is right to work for less. I don't know who wants to work for less. It ain't me. But it is a right to work for less state. So, what I want, what I'm trying to do as president is trying to get filmmakers who to understand, local filmmakers, there is a SAG-AFTRA contract for you that is not that expensive and it's not that difficult to fill out. And SAG-AFTRA is there to help you get the paperwork done. So the more non-union projects we can flip, the less reason there will be for actors who are eligible to join that don't. And I'm going to sound like a hard case here. I'm just going to say it. If you're watching this and you're a SAG eligible actor and you're not joining, you're getting all the benefits from the union. When you work on a union shoot, you're getting protection, you're making sure you get fed, you get overtime, you get all the benefits, but you're not contributing. And in New Orleans, it's like coming to a party and not bringing anything and eating all the food. So, that's a faux pas, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I would just, and the reason that I'm really so passionate about this is I truly believe the more people take this professionally, the higher the standards we'll have, the more people will be attracted here. And everybody here wants the big roles, right? We don't want to settle for the crumbs. We want the bigger roles. That's what Lee Daniels did with me in The Butler. He gave me a really nice role in that movie. He gave me the opportunity to audition for it. And I stepped up because of my professionalism and I earned it, right? And my hope is that filmmakers that come to town know I don't have to cast all the big roles out in LA. I can cast my stars because they've got the name and that's where they live. But I can rely on the talent pool because they're professionals there. So I would, if you're watching this and if you're working regularly on SAG-AFTRA films and you're eligible and you don't join. It strengthens our bargaining power. It strengthens our union. The more people we get, the higher tier we get, the more funding we get from the union. It's just a good thing all the way around. So I'm just really passionate about that. And if you're a SAG-AFTRA, I mean, if you're a non-union filmmaker and you're watching this, I don't care what, but if you have no budget, there's a contract for you. And then when you use that contract, what you do is you're able to hire a higher caliber of actor for your projects. So I'm really passionate about that.
I can tell. That's actually a good thing. I like that. And I haven't heard that we're a right to work for less state. That's an interesting little addition there that people don't really understand. Yeah. So this is something that definitely I'm going to look at for like the next films that I do. Definitely. Because I haven't. I've always been
What kind of budget do you have?
This much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's a contract for you. And it takes about 5 minutes to fill out online. And then you'll have, now there are some things that you do have to provide for the actors.
Sure.
But you're probably doing that anyway.
Yeah.
A place for them to change and a private place for them and you feed them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of stuff. And, if there's no pay involved, well, then you don't have to pay overtime.
That's true.
If you're paying them, if you're paying them something and you do go into overtime, there's a little bit more that you're going to have to pay them because according to the contract, that's what you're supposed to do. But it gives you the opportunity to hire me. Mm-hmm. And I've worked on projects where they're like, we really want you on this. And I'm like, well, you're a non-union shoot. Because once you join the union, even if it's in a right, this is something people don't understand. If you join the union and you live in Louisiana, which is a right to work for less state, that doesn't mean you can join the union and still work on non-union stuff. Because the union is going to say, you can't do that if you want to be a member of our organization.
Right.
So it does not, the right to work for less does not give you the opportunity to join the union and work on whatever you want. And I learned that. I joined that because I wanted to be a pro, right? And right after I joined, Claudia, my agent at the time, called me and said, because we didn't have the internet. She called me. Remember that? She called me and she said, there's a commercial audition. It's a $2,000 buyout. I was like, because I was making my money on commercials at the time.
Right.
I was like, oh man, I can't do it because it's non-union. So, you're going to miss opportunities at times. But I'm a believer in God, and I believe when you close that door, God opens the door for you to get other stuff.
So if a filmmaker, a non-union filmmaker, goes and takes a look at those rules, the forms, whatever for the contract, that's the word I'm looking for. Goes to look for and gets that contract, you're not going to be paying that much more if anything, but then you'll be able to get people who would want to be on a non-union film,
Right.
but still be
Might be
union.
I had a guy.
All right.
He sent me the script and I really liked it, and he wasn't going to go union, and I was like, I can't be in it. I like the script. I would have enjoyed working on that project.
Sure.
Couldn't do it.
Yep.
So you're going to get a passionate actor who is a professional, who's interested in your project. It's a great benefit. It's a great benefit to any.
It is a
filmmaker.
great benefit.
Yeah. So my friend was doing a short. It was like a $50,000 budget, and he was going to go non-union, but he wanted to use all these union actors.
Right.
And we told him, hey, you got to get a union contract. They did. We were able to do the shoot, and it wasn't that difficult.
Wasn't that difficult?
No,
and that's
the producer said it was in the time of COVID. He said the paperwork was not a hard thing. The COVID restrictions were the hard thing.
those are the yeah.
Now that's gone.
I
So-
remember those restrictions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is something for the 48-hour filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think part of the paperwork in there there is a SAG contract that you can get for they talk about it as well. I haven't looked into it, but so that you can get somebody who wants to participate and play.
Yeah.
And no one gets paid on this. That's
Right.
just the way it is. That's the way that's designed. But you can get somebody to participate and be in your film.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, what was it, looking back, it was about 10 years ago, there was a film that won everything, and it was in Paris is where that was the city they were in France. And they won the whole thing, and the whole shebang went to Cannes and all the rest.
Oh, wow.
Their main actor was Martin Freeman.
Oh, wow.
Bilbo Baggins,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
There it
yeah.
was. And it's like, okay, how did you do it? That's how they did it.
Yeah.
They somebody knew him and said, hey, you want to play? And
Right.
he said, sure. And they got the paperwork taken care of, and it didn't cost anything. And there it was. So there's definitely something that everyone should take a look at.
Absolutely.
All right. I appreciate that. That's actually a good thing to end on. I do like that. Cool. And I want to say thank you for coming. I mean,
Bob.
it's been wonderful talking to you.
Yeah.
And I am going to be contacting you in a few weeks. And I do want to come and see one of these classes and participate. And just to see what I can do.
Yeah. Come take the works, and there's a lot of acting perspective and philosophy from the actor's standpoint.
Okay.
As a director, you can go, oh, okay, I get this. Yeah.
All right. That is definitely what I'll do.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
All right, Bob.
And for everybody else, I want to say thank you for joining us on another episode of Anecdotes, and stay tuned for the next episode. Who knows what it's going to be? Appreciate y'all. Thanks to our sponsors, La Film Studios and the Abita Springs International Film Festival. If you want to sponsor the Anecdotes video podcast or be a guest, please email us at anecdotes@lafilm.net. Anecdotes is recorded in the 36 and 59 studio in beautiful Abita Springs, Louisiana.